Victoria Ashworth stepped out of her white BMW in front of the Meridian Hotel. She wore a designer dress that cost more than most people made in a month. Her high heels clicked on the marble floor as she walked through the fancy lobby. Everything about her showed money and power. She checked her diamond watch and frowned. Her father had called her that morning and told her to meet him at the hotel restaurant. He said it was important business. Victoria thought it was about their family's real estate company. Maybe a new deal with rich clients. The restaurant was full of wealthy people eating expensive food. Victoria spotted her father sitting at a corner table. He was a tall man with gray hair who always wore the best suits. But he was not alone. There was another man sitting with him. Victoria walked closer and stopped. The other man looked young, maybe her age. But something was wrong. He wore simple clothes, just a plain shirt and old pants. His shoes looked like they came from a regular store, not an expensive shop. He did not fit in this fancy place at all. "Victoria, come sit down," her father said with a smile. He stood up and pulled out a chair for her. She sat down slowly, looking at the strange man with confusion. "Dad, who is this?" she asked in a cold voice. "This is Marcus Chen," her father said. "Marcus, this is my daughter Victoria." Marcus smiled and reached out his hand. "Nice to meet you, Victoria." Victoria looked at his hand but did not shake it. She could see that his hands were rough, like someone who worked with them every day. "What kind of business meeting is this?" she asked her father. Her father's smile got bigger. "Well, it's not exactly business. This is more personal." Victoria felt her stomach drop. "Personal? What do you mean, personal?" "Marcus's family helped our company many years ago when we had problems," her father explained. "His father lent us money when no bank would help us. Without that help, we would have lost everything." Victoria listened but kept staring at Marcus. He seemed calm and quiet. He did not try to talk or show off like the rich men she usually met. "That's nice, Dad, but what does this have to do with me?" Victoria asked. "Well, I made a promise to Marcus's father back then," her father said. "I promised that our families would always be connected. And now Marcus is here and you are here." Victoria's eyes went wide. "You don't mean—" "I think you two should get to know each other," her father said. "Maybe become friends. Maybe more than friends." Victoria felt her face turn red with anger. "Are you trying to set me up with him?" She looked at Marcus again. "Dad, look at him. Look at his clothes. What does he even do for work?" Marcus spoke for the first time since they sat down. "I work at a technology company," he said in a quiet voice. "Doing what?" Victoria asked in a mean tone. "I'm a janitor," Marcus said simply. Victoria's mouth fell open. She could not believe what she was hearing. "A janitor? Dad, you want me to date a janitor?" Other people in the restaurant started to look at their table. Victoria's voice was getting louder. "Victoria, keep your voice down," her father said. "No, I will not keep my voice down," Victoria said, standing up. "This is crazy. I am Victoria Ashworth. I went to the best schools. I drive expensive cars. I wear designer clothes. And you want me to date someone who cleans toilets for a living?" Marcus did not look angry. He just looked sad. "Maybe this was a bad idea," he said to Victoria's father. No, please sit," Victoria's father said to Marcus. Then he looked at Victoria. "Sit down right now." Victoria sat down but crossed her arms. She was very angry. "Marcus is a good man," her father said. "He is smart and kind. He works hard." "Working hard cleaning floors is not the same as being successful," Victoria said. "Look around this place, Dad. Everyone here is important. They own companies. They make real money. And you want me to be seen with him?" Marcus looked at Victoria. "I understand this is not what you wanted," he said. "Your father told me about you. He said you were beautiful and smart. He was right about that." Victoria rolled her eyes. "Don't try to be nice to me. This whole thing is embarrassing." "Why is it embarrassing?" Marcus asked. "Because you don't belong here," Victoria said loudly. "Look at yourself. Your clothes probably cost less than my purse. You clean buildings while I run in social circles with doctors and lawyers and business owners." The waiter came to their table. He looked nervous because of Victoria's loud voice. "What would you like to drink?" the waiter asked. "Bring me your most expensive wine," Victoria said. "And bring him water. That's probably all he can afford anyway." Marcus spoke to the waiter. "I'll have coffee, please." "Thank you." Victoria laughed in a mean way. "Coffee? How basic." Her father looked very uncomfortable. "Victoria, you're being rude. I'm being honest." Victoria said. Dad, I have a reputation to think about. My friends are successful people. What will they think if they see me with a janitor? Marcus drank his coffee when it came. He did not seem angry, just disappointed. You know what the funny thing is? Victoria continued. I bet you don't even know how to act around rich people. Have you ever been to a place like this before? A few times, Marcus said. Really? What did you do? Clean the bathrooms here too? Marcus did not answer. He just looked out the window. Victoria felt good about making him feel bad. She thought he needed to understand that they were from different worlds. This is impossible, Dad, Victoria said to her father. I can't be with someone like him. My friends would laugh at me. The newspapers would make fun of our family. Can you imagine the headlines? Rich girl dates poor janitor. Her father looked very serious. Victoria, you are acting like a spoiled child. I'm acting like someone who knows her worth, Victoria said. I deserve better than this. Marcus finished his coffee and stood up. Thank you for the coffee, he said to Victoria's father. And thank you for thinking of me. But she's right. We are very different people. Victoria felt happy that he was giving up so easily, but her father stood up too. Marcus, please don't go. Victoria just needs time to think about this. Think about what? Victoria asked. There's nothing to think about. This was a waste of everyone's time. Marcus looked at Victoria one more time. I hope you find what you're looking for, he said. Then he walked away. Victoria watched him leave. She felt proud of herself for handling the situation so well. She had shown him exactly where he belonged, and it was not with her. 3 days after the hotel meeting, Victoria's father called her again. She was shopping at an expensive store when her phone rang. Victoria, we need to talk, her father said in a serious voice. If this is about that janitor, I already told you no, Victoria said while looking at a designer handbag. His name is Marcus, and yes, it is about him, her father said. I want you to come home right now. Victoria sighed. Dad, I'm busy shopping. Come home now, her father said and hung up. Victoria was angry, but she knew her father's voice meant business. She drove her BMW home to their big house. Her father was waiting in his office. Sit down, he said. Victoria sat in the leather chair across from his desk. What is this about? The Chen family has invited us to dinner tomorrow night, her father said. All of us. You, me, your mother, and them. Victoria's mouth dropped open. No way. I am not going to dinner with that family. Yes, you are, her father said firmly. Dad, this is crazy. Why are you pushing this so hard? Her father leaned back in his chair. Because I owe them more than you know. Marcus's father saved our business. Without him, we would have nothing. No house, no cars, no money for your shopping trips. Victoria crossed her arms. That doesn't mean I have to marry his son. Nobody said anything about marriage, her father said. But you will show respect to this family. You will go to dinner and you will be polite. What if I say no? Her father's eyes got cold. Then I will cut off your credit cards and your allowance. You can get a job and pay for your own life. Victoria knew he meant it. She had never worked a day in her life. She needed her father's money. Fine, she said. But I'm not pretending to like him. The next evening, Victoria spent 2 hours getting ready. She wore her most expensive dress and jewelry. She wanted to show the Chen family exactly who they were dealing with. The dinner was at a nice restaurant, but not as fancy as the Meridian Hotel. Victoria's parents picked her up in their Mercedes. Remember what we talked about, her father warned as they drove. I'll be polite, Victoria said, but that's all. They arrived at the restaurant and saw the Chen family waiting at a table. Marcus was there with an older man and woman who must be his parents. They looked nice but simple like Marcus. Victoria's family walked over to the table. Marcus stood up when he saw them coming. Thank you for coming, Marcus's father said with a warm smile. He was a short man with kind eyes. Victoria's father shook his hand. Thank you for inviting us, David. Victoria's mother smiled at Marcus's mother. The two women seemed to like each other right away. Victoria sat down across from Marcus. She did not say hello to him. Marcus's mother, Mrs. Chen, was very excited. We are so happy to meet Victoria, she said. Marcus has told us so much about her. Really? Victoria said in a cold voice. What did he tell you? Marcus looked uncomfortable. I just said you were very beautiful and smart. Victoria rolled her eyes. How nice. The waiter came to take their drink orders. Victoria ordered the most expensive wine on the menu. And for you, sir? The waiter asked Marcus. Just water, please, Marcus said. Victoria laughed. Still can't afford anything better? Both sets of parents looked shocked at Victoria's rudeness. Marcus's father tried to change the subject. So, Victoria, your father tells us you studied business in college. I studied at Harvard, Victoria said proudly. The best school in the country. Where did Marcus go to school? I went to a state university, Marcus said quietly. A state school, Victoria repeated like it was something dirty. How affordable. Victoria's father kicked her under the table, but she ignored him. The waiter brought their drinks. Victoria took a big sip of her wine and looked around the restaurant. This place is cute, she said in a fake sweet voice. Very. Middle class, Mrs. Chen smiled nervously. We thought it would be nice and quiet for talking. Oh, it's perfect for you, Victoria said. I usually eat at much fancier places. Last week I had dinner at Le Bernardin in New York City. The meal cost more than most people make in a week. Marcus's parents looked confused. They did not know what to say. Victoria continued talking. I also went to a charity event at the country club. We raised money for poor families. It's so sad how some people have to struggle just to pay for basic things. She looked right at Marcus when she said this. Marcus's father tried again to make conversation. Marcus loves his job at the technology company. He works very hard. I'm sure cleaning is very hard work, Victoria said with a fake smile. Someone has to do the dirty jobs, right? Marcus finally spoke up. It's not just cleaning. I also help with other things. Like what? Victoria asked. Taking out the trash? Mopping floors? I help with computer problems sometimes, Marcus said. Victoria laughed loudly. A janitor who fixes computers. That's funny. A rich man at the next table heard Victoria laugh. He looked over and smiled at her. Victoria smiled back and played with her hair. Excuse me, the man said, getting up from his table. I couldn't help but notice your beautiful dress. Victoria's face lit up. Thank you. It's Versace. I'm Jonathan Wheeler, the man said. I own several hotels in the city. I'm Victoria Ashworth, she said, standing up to shake his hand. My family owns Ashworth Real Estate. Of course. I know your father's work, Jonathan said. Perhaps we could have dinner sometime and discuss business. Victoria completely forgot about her own dinner table. I would love that, she said. She talked to Jonathan for 10 minutes while everyone else sat in awkward silence. Marcus's parents looked very uncomfortable. Victoria's parents looked embarrassed. When Jonathan finally went back to his table, Victoria sat down with a big smile. Now that's the kind of man I should be having dinner with, she said to the table. Successful, wealthy, important. Marcus's mother looked like she might cry. Victoria, her mother said quietly. That was very rude. It was honest, Victoria said. I was just showing everyone the difference between my world and his world. She pointed at Marcus. The waiter came to take their food orders. Everyone ordered except Victoria. I'm not very hungry anymore, she said. All this talk about janitor work has ruined my appetite. Marcus stood up suddenly. I think I should go, he said. Marcus, please don't, his father said. But Marcus was already walking away from the table. Victoria watched him leave and felt satisfied. Well, that went better than expected, she said. Both sets of parents stared at her in shock. Victoria Ashworth, her father said in a dangerous voice. We need to talk. But Victoria just smiled and finished her expensive wine. She had made her point very clear. After the terrible dinner, Victoria thought she would never see Marcus again. She was wrong. 2 weeks later, her father called her to his office again. This time, he looked very serious and angry. Sit down, Victoria, he said. She sat down and crossed her legs. What now, Dad? The Chen family wants to move forward with the engagement, her father said. Victoria jumped up from her chair. What, are you crazy? Did you see what happened at dinner? I was horrible to him. Yes, you were, her father agreed. And now you're going to fix it. I'm not fixing anything, Victoria shouted. I don't want to marry him. Her father stood up and walked around his desk. Victoria, do you remember the Wilson deal? Victoria nodded. The Wilson deal was a huge business contract that would make their family millions of dollars. Well, Mr. Wilson is a close friend of Marcus's father, her father said. If we don't treat the Chen family with respect, we lose that deal. Victoria's eyes went wide. You're saying I have to marry Marcus for money? I'm saying you have to get engaged to Marcus for our family's business, her father corrected. What happens after that we can figure out later. Victoria sat back down. She felt trapped. For how long? 6 months, her father said. Just 6 months. Then if you really can't stand him, we'll find a way to end it quietly. Victoria thought about it. 6 months was not that long. And maybe she could use that time to change Marcus, to make him better. Fine, she said. But I have conditions, her father raised his eyebrows. Conditions? If I'm going to be engaged to him, he needs to improve himself, Victoria said. He needs to get a better job, better clothes, and learn how to act around rich people. Victoria, no, Dad. Victoria interrupted. If you want me to do this, then he needs to become worthy of me. I won't be embarrassed by a janitor boyfriend. Her father sighed. What exactly do you want him to do? Victoria smiled. She had been thinking about this since dinner. First, he needs to get a real job, something respectable. Second, he needs to buy proper clothes. Third, he needs to learn about wine, art, and culture. And fourth, he needs to lose weight and get in shape. Victoria, that's a lot to ask. Those are my conditions, Victoria said firmly. Take it or leave it. Her father thought for a moment. I'll talk to Marcus and his family. 3 days later, Victoria got a call from Marcus. She was surprised to hear from him. Hi, Victoria, he said in his quiet voice. Your father talked to my father about your requirements. And? Victoria asked. I agreed to try, Marcus said. Victoria smiled. Good, when do we start? How about tomorrow? Marcus suggested. Maybe you could help me pick out some new clothes. Fine, Victoria said. But we're going to expensive stores. No cheap places. The next day, Marcus met Victoria at the mall. She was shocked by what she saw. He was wearing the same old clothes from before, seriously? She said when she saw him. You wore those clothes to go shopping for new clothes. I don't have any other clothes, Marcus said simply. Victoria shook her head. This is going to be harder than I thought. They went to the most expensive men's store in the mall. Victoria picked out suits, shirts, ties, and shoes. Everything cost thousands of dollars. This is all very expensive, Marcus said, looking at the prices. You want to be with me, right? Victoria asked. This is what it costs. Marcus pulled out his credit card and paid for everything. Victoria was surprised that his card worked for such a big purchase. Now for the haircut, Victoria said. They went to an expensive salon. Victoria told the stylist exactly how she wanted Marcus's haircut. Make him look successful, she ordered. When the haircut was finished, Marcus looked different, better but still not perfect in Victoria's eyes. It's a start, she said. Over the next few weeks, Victoria made Marcus take classes. Wine tasting classes, art appreciation classes, and etiquette classes. You need to learn how to talk to important people, she told him. When we go to parties, you can't embarrass me. Marcus went to every class without complaining. He studied hard and tried to learn everything Victoria wanted him to know. But Victoria was not satisfied. She found new things wrong with him every day. Your voice is too quiet, she told him one day. Rich people speak with confidence. Your car is too old, she said another day. You need to buy something better. You need to join a gym, she said the next week. You're too skinny. Marcus tried to do everything she asked. He bought a nicer car, joined an expensive gym, and practiced speaking louder. Victoria's friends started to notice Marcus around town. They were curious about him. Who is that guy you're always with? Her friend Sarah asked one day. He's my project, Victoria said with a laugh. I'm trying to turn him into boyfriend material. Where did you find him? He's a janitor, Victoria said. Can you believe it? My father wants me to marry him. Sarah's eyes went wide. A janitor? Victoria, what are you doing? Don't worry, Victoria said. It's just temporary. I'm teaching him how to be better, and in a few months I'll dump him. That's kind of mean, Sarah said. It's realistic, Victoria corrected. He should be grateful that someone like me is even trying to help him. Meanwhile, Victoria continued to date other men. She would meet rich businessmen for lunch and successful lawyers for dinner. She made sure Marcus knew about these dates. I'm having dinner with Dr. Patterson tonight, she would tell Marcus. He's a brain surgeon. Very successful. Marcus never complained or got jealous. He just nodded and continued trying to improve himself. One day, Marcus suggested they have a quiet dinner together, just the two of them. Why? Victoria asked. What's the point? To get to know each other better, Marcus said. We're supposed to be engaged. Victoria laughed. Marcus, this isn't a real engagement. This is me helping you become a better person. Don't get confused. Marcus looked hurt, but he didn't argue. Besides, Victoria continued, real couples go to fancy places and expensive events. Can you afford to take me somewhere nice? Where would you like to go? Marcus asked. Victoria thought for a moment. She wanted to test him. The country club, she said. There's a charity gala next Saturday. Tickets are $5,000 each. She was sure this would be too expensive for him, but Marcus surprised her. Okay, he said. I'll get the tickets. Victoria was shocked. You can afford that? I've been saving money, Marcus said. Victoria didn't believe him, but she agreed to go. She spent the whole week planning her outfit and telling her friends about the event. I can't wait to see how badly he embarrasses himself, she told Sarah. This will be perfect proof that he doesn't belong in my world. Saturday night came, and Victoria was ready to watch Marcus fail. She had no idea that this night would be very different from what she expected. The charity gala at the country club surprised everyone, especially Victoria. Marcus had not embarrassed himself at all. In fact, several important people seemed to know him and spoke to him with respect. Victoria was confused but decided not to think too much about it. After the gala, both families pushed harder for a real wedding. Victoria's father made it clear that the business deal depended on it. Fine, Victoria said to her father, but if I'm doing this, we're doing it my way. Victoria began planning the most expensive wedding she could imagine. She wanted everyone to see how rich and important her family was. She also wanted to make sure Marcus knew his place. The first thing Victoria did was choose the most expensive wedding venue in the city. The grand ballroom at the luxury hotel cost $50,000 just for one night. Marcus will pay for half of everything, Victoria announced to her parents. Half? Her mother asked. Victoria? That's a lot of money for someone who works as a janitor. Then he better work more hours, Victoria said with a mean smile. Victoria called Marcus and told him about the costs. She expected him to say it was too expensive. But again, Marcus surprised her. That's fine, he said calmly. I'll take care of my half. Victoria was getting annoyed that Marcus always seemed to have money when she needed him to fail. Next, Victoria started planning the guest list. She invited everyone she knew from high society, rich business owners, famous lawyers, successful doctors, and important politicians. Then she made a decision that shocked everyone. Marcus's family can't sit with the wedding party, she announced to the wedding planner. The wedding planner, Mrs. Rodriguez, looked confused. I'm sorry? Where should the groom's family sit? In the back, Victoria said, with the staff and vendors. Mrs. Rodriguez looked very uncomfortable. Miss Ashworth, that's very unusual. The groom's family usually sits in the front. Not at my wedding, Victoria said firmly. My guests are important people. His family, well, they wouldn't understand how to act around such important people. Mrs. Rodriguez tried to explain that this was not normal, but Victoria didn't care. Also, Victoria continued, Marcus will sit at the staff table during dinner. During your own wedding reception? Mrs. Rodriguez asked in shock. Yes. This way, my important guests won't have to make conversation with him. He can eat with the waiters and photographers. Mrs. Rodriguez had planned hundreds of weddings, but she had never heard anything like this before. Victoria also made other cruel decisions. She chose flowers that cost $20,000 but told Marcus he had to pay for them by working extra shifts at his job. You should be grateful, she told him, when he looked tired from working so much. I'm giving you the wedding of a lifetime. Victoria picked out her wedding dress without Marcus. It cost $15,000. She also bought shoes, jewelry, and accessories that cost another $10,000. This is all for me, she told Marcus. You can wear whatever you already have. But when Victoria saw Marcus's old suit, she became angry. You can't wear that to our wedding, she yelled. People will think I'm marrying a homeless person. I can buy a new suit, Marcus offered. With what money? Victoria asked meanly. You already spent everything on my flowers. Marcus was quiet for a moment. I'll figure something out. The worst part was what Victoria did to Marcus's family. She called his parents and uninvited them from the ceremony. I'm sorry, she told Marcus's mother on the phone, but this is a very sophisticated event. The guests are all very important people, and I'm worried that you might feel uncomfortable. Marcus's mother was very hurt. We just want to see our son get married. You can see him afterwards, Victoria said coldly. Maybe we can have dinner at a regular restaurant sometime. When Marcus found out what Victoria had done, he was very upset. Victoria, you can't uninvite my parents from our wedding, he said. I can and I did, Victoria replied. This is my day, Marcus. My special day. I won't let anyone ruin it. They won't ruin anything, Marcus said. They're good people. Victoria laughed. Marcus, look at reality. Your parents are simple people. They don't know how to act around millionaires and celebrities. They would embarrass us. They would embarrass you, Marcus corrected. Same thing, Victoria said. We're getting married, remember? Your embarrassment becomes my embarrassment. Marcus looked very sad, but he didn't fight anymore. Victoria also hired the most expensive photographer, the fanciest catering company, and the best musicians in the city. She told Marcus he had to pay for half of everything. How are you paying for all this? Her friend Sarah asked one day. Marcus is working 3 jobs now, Victoria said proudly. He works as a janitor during the day, delivers food at night, and does yard work on weekends. Victoria, that's terrible, Sarah said. You're killing him. I'm motivating him, Victoria corrected. He needs to learn that being with me costs money. 2 weeks before the wedding, Victoria had another idea. She decided that Marcus needed to lose weight. You look fat in your suit, she told him, even though he looked fine. I've been working out, Marcus said. Not enough, Victoria said. I want you to lose 10 pounds before the wedding. No eating after 6 o'clock, and you need to run 5 miles every day. Marcus was already exhausted from working 3 jobs, but he agreed to try. Victoria also made Marcus take dancing lessons. I don't want you stepping on my feet during our first dance, she said. Everyone will be watching us. The dance instructor was shocked by how Victoria spoke to Marcus during the lessons. He's doing fine, the instructor told Victoria. He's actually a very good dancer. He needs to be perfect, Victoria said. This dance has to look like something from a movie. 1 week before the wedding, Victoria's mother tried to talk to her. Victoria, honey. You're being very hard on Marcus, her mother said. I'm being realistic, Mom, Victoria replied. If he wants to marry someone like me, he needs to earn it. Marriage should be about love, her mother said. Victoria rolled her eyes. Marriage is about finding the right partner, someone who can give you the life you deserve. What kind of life is Marcus giving you? Her mother asked. Victoria thought about it. He's learning to give me the life I deserve. Eventually, he'll understand how lucky he is. The night before the wedding, Victoria felt very satisfied with herself. She had planned the perfect wedding to show everyone how important she was. She had also shown Marcus exactly what was expected of him as her husband. She had no idea that tomorrow would be the day when everything would change forever. Victoria's wedding day started early. She had hired 3 people to do her hair and makeup. She wanted to look absolutely perfect for her big day. The wedding was supposed to start at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Victoria was supposed to be ready by 1:30. But Victoria was never on time for anything. At 1 o'clock, she was still getting her makeup done. At 2 o'clock, the guests were all sitting in the beautiful ballroom, waiting. Marcus stood at the altar in his new suit, looking nervous. At 3 o'clock, people started to whisper and look at their watches. At 4 o'clock, Victoria's father went to find her. Victoria, he said, knocking on her dressing room door. What are you doing? Everyone is waiting. I'm not ready yet, Victoria called back. My hair doesn't look right. Your hair looks fine, her father said. We need to start this wedding now. I said I'm not ready, Victoria shouted. Victoria's mother tried to talk to her. Honey, Marcus has been standing there for 2 hours. The guests are getting upset. Let them wait, Victoria said. This is my day. When I'm ready, we'll start. Finally, at 5 o'clock, Victoria decided she looked perfect enough. She walked out of her dressing room in her expensive white dress. But instead of going straight to the ceremony, Victoria stopped at a mirror in the hallway. I need more lipstick, she announced. Her father looked like he wanted to scream. Victoria, please. Daddy, calm down, Victoria said, fixing her lipstick slowly. The most important person at a wedding is the bride. Everyone should wait for the bride. When Victoria finally walked into the ballroom, all the guests turned to look at her. Some people looked angry. Some people looked confused. Marcus just looked tired. Victoria walked down the aisle very slowly. She wanted everyone to look at her dress and jewelry. She stopped several times to pose for the photographer. When she finally reached Marcus at the altar, she could see that he was not happy. "You're 3 hours late," Marcus whispered. "I'm worth waiting for," Victoria whispered back with a smile. The minister began the ceremony. He looked relieved that they were finally starting. When it came time for the vows, Victoria went first. She had written her own vows, and they were not very nice. "Marcus," she began, speaking loudly so everyone could hear. "When I first met you, you were just a simple working man. But I saw potential in you." The guests listened in surprise. "I promise to continue helping you become a better person," Victoria continued. "I will teach you how to dress better, how to act better, and how to fit into my world." Some guests looked shocked. This was not what wedding vows usually sounded like. "I promise to be patient with you as you learn how to be worthy of someone like me," Victoria said. "Together we will build a life where you can support my dreams and ambitions." Victoria looked very proud of her vows. Marcus looked embarrassed. When it was Marcus's turn, he spoke very quietly. "Victoria, I promise to love you and respect you," he said simply. "I promise to work hard to make you happy and to always be honest with you." Victoria thought his vows were boring compared to hers. After the ceremony, everyone moved to the reception room for dinner. This was when Victoria's worst behavior came out, just as she had planned. Marcus was seated at a table in the back of the room with the photographer, the musicians, and some of the hotel staff. Victoria sat at the head table with her parents and her most important friends. "Where is the groom?" asked Mrs. Patterson, the wife of a famous doctor. "Oh, he's sitting with the staff," Victoria said casually. "He's more comfortable there." Mrs. Patterson looked very confused. "But it's his wedding too." "Technically, yes," Victoria said. "But really, this is about celebrating my new life." During dinner, Victoria stood up to make a speech. She had not told anyone she was going to do this. "Thank you all for coming to my special day," Victoria began. "I know many of you are wondering about my choice in husbands." The room got very quiet. "Marcus comes from a very different background than us," Victoria continued. "But I believe in charity work. I believe in helping people improve their lives." Several guests looked uncomfortable. "Marriage is not just about love," Victoria said. "It's about lifting people up. Marcus is very lucky to have someone who believes in his potential." Victoria smiled and sat down. She thought her speech was inspiring. Most of the guests thought it was horrible. The worst moment came when Marcus's grandmother arrived at the reception. She was an elderly woman who had worked extra hours to buy a nice dress for the wedding. She had not been invited to the ceremony, but she wanted to congratulate the new couple. The old woman walked slowly to Victoria's table. "Congratulations." "Dear," Marcus's grandmother said with a warm smile. "You look beautiful." Victoria looked at the elderly woman with disgust. "Excuse me, who are you?" "I'm Marcus's grandmother," the woman said. "I just wanted to meet you and wish you happiness." Victoria looked around the table. All her rich friends were watching. "I'm sorry, but this is a private reception," Victoria said coldly. "Only invited guests are allowed." Marcus's grandmother looked confused. "But it's my grandson's wedding. Security," Victoria called out loudly. 2 hotel security guards came over. "Please escort this woman out," Victoria said. "She doesn't belong here." Marcus saw what was happening from his table. He jumped up and ran over. "Victoria, what are you doing?" he asked. "That's my grandmother." "She wasn't invited," Victoria said firmly. "This is a sophisticated event." Marcus's grandmother had tears in her eyes. "It's okay, Marcus," she said softly. "I understand." "No, Grandma, wait," Marcus said. But the security guards were already walking her toward the exit. The entire room was silent. Everyone had seen what Victoria did to the old woman. "Victoria," Marcus said quietly, "that was my grandmother." "And this is my wedding," Victoria replied. "I decide who belongs here and who doesn't." Marcus looked at Victoria for a long moment. For the first time since they met, he looked truly angry. "You're right," he said. "It is your wedding. Just yours." Marcus walked back to his table and sat down. He didn't speak to Victoria for the rest of the night. Victoria didn't care. She danced with her rich friends and enjoyed being the center of attention. But many of the guests left early. They were uncomfortable with how Victoria had treated Marcus and his grandmother. By the end of the night, Victoria was very happy. She thought the wedding had been perfect. She had shown everyone exactly who she was and what she expected from life. She had no idea that her perfect wedding day had actually been the beginning of the end. After the wedding, Victoria felt like she had won a great victory. She had gotten married to show her father she could follow through with the plan, and she had made it clear to everyone that she was in charge. Victoria and Marcus moved into a beautiful apartment that Victoria had chosen. Of course, she made Marcus pay for most of it. "This place costs $6,000 a month," Marcus said when he saw the lease. "Then you better keep working hard," Victoria replied. "A wife like me deserves a nice home." Marcus was now working 4 jobs to pay for Victoria's expensive lifestyle. He worked as a janitor during the day, delivered food in the evenings, did yard work on weekends, and cleaned offices at night. Victoria spent her days shopping, having lunch with friends, and going to the spa. She was living exactly the life she wanted. 3 weeks after the wedding, Victoria and Marcus were invited to another charity event. This one was even fancier than their wedding. It was at the most exclusive country club in the city. The tickets cost $8,000 each, Victoria told Marcus. "But don't worry, I already bought them." "With what money?" Marcus asked tiredly. "With your money," Victoria said with a smile. "I used the credit card you gave me." Marcus looked surprised but didn't argue. On the night of the charity event, Victoria wore a new dress that cost $3,000. Marcus wore the same suit from their wedding. "You really need more clothes," Victoria told him in the car. "But I guess this will have to do for now." The charity event was full of the richest people in the city. Victoria was in heaven. She loved being around so much wealth and power. During dinner, Victoria talked loudly about her new married life. "Marriage is wonderful when you marry the right person," she told the other wives at their table. "Of course, sometimes you have to train your husband a little." The women laughed politely, but they seemed uncomfortable. "What kind of work does your husband do?" asked Mrs. Williams, whose husband owned several banks. Victoria paused. She didn't want to say Marcus was a janitor in front of these people. "He works in technology," Victoria said carefully. "Oh, how interesting," Mrs. Williams said. "Which company?" Victoria felt trapped. "It's a smaller company. You probably haven't heard of it." Just then, Marcus's phone rang. He looked at the screen and his face changed. "I'm sorry, I need to take this," Marcus said, standing up from the table. "Marcus," Victoria hissed.
"You can't take phone calls during dinner?"
But Marcus was already walking away with his phone. Victoria was embarrassed. "I'm so sorry," she told the other people at the table. "He's still learning proper etiquette." Victoria excused herself and followed Marcus. She wanted to yell at him for being rude. She found Marcus standing in the hallway outside the dining room. He was talking quietly on his phone, but Victoria could hear parts of the conversation. "Yes, I understand the board is concerned," Marcus was saying. "But the acquisition needs to happen this week." Victoria stopped walking. Acquisition? What was Marcus talking about? "The shareholders are expecting the announcement on Monday," Marcus continued. "We can't delay any longer." Victoria moved closer, trying to hear better. "I know it's a lot of money," Marcus said. "But $3 billion is fair for a company that size." Victoria's mouth fell open. $3 billion. Who was Marcus talking to? "Call Chen Industries in the morning," Marcus said. "Tell them I'll be in the office early to sign the papers." Victoria felt confused. Chen Industries, that was Marcus's last name. "Also, make sure the press release mentions our commitment to keeping all employees," Marcus said. "I don't want anyone to lose their job because of this deal." Marcus was quiet for a moment, listening to the person on the phone. "No, I don't want my name in the newspapers yet," Marcus said. "Keep using my middle name for now. I'm not ready for the publicity." Victoria couldn't believe what she was hearing. Marcus was talking like he was some kind of business executive, not a janitor. "The quarterly reports look good," Marcus continued. $12 billion in revenue is our best year yet." $12 billion? Victoria felt dizzy. "I need to go," Marcus said. "I'm at a charity event with my wife." "Yes, the same charity we donated $2 million to last year." Victoria's legs felt weak. $2 million? Marcus hung up the phone and turned around. He saw Victoria standing there with her mouth open. "Victoria, what are you doing out here?" I was looking for the bathroom," Victoria lied. "Oh, it's down that hallway," Marcus said, pointing. Victoria walked toward the bathroom in a daze. Her mind was spinning with questions. Who was Marcus really talking to? Why was he discussing billions of dollars? What was Chen Industries? When Victoria returned to the dinner table, she couldn't stop staring at Marcus. He was eating his food quietly, like nothing had happened. "Is everything okay?" Mrs. Williams asked Victoria. "You look pale." "I'm fine," Victoria said, but she wasn't fine at all. For the rest of the evening, Victoria watched Marcus carefully. She noticed things she had never seen before. When the charity auction started, Marcus bid on several expensive items. He won a week-long vacation to Europe for $50,000 without even blinking. "Marcus," Victoria whispered. "What are you doing?" "We can't afford that." "Don't worry about it," Marcus said calmly. When other men at the event talked to Marcus, they seemed to treat him with respect. Not like he was a janitor, but like he was someone important. "Marcus, good to see you again," said Mr. Thompson, who owned half the buildings in downtown. "Hello, Richard," Marcus replied. "How's the new hotel project going?" Victoria was shocked. Marcus knew Mr. Thompson, and Mr. Thompson was asking Marcus for advice? "The construction is on schedule," Mr. Thompson said. "Thanks for the recommendation on the contractor." "No problem," Marcus said. "Chen Industries has worked with them before. They do good work." There was that name again. Chen Industries. As the evening went on, Victoria noticed more strange things. When the event organizers announced the biggest donors of the night, they thanked someone called M. Chen for a donation of $500,000. Victoria looked at Marcus. He was looking down at his plate like he didn't want anyone to notice him. "Emma Chen," Victoria repeated quietly. "Marcus Chen." Marcus looked up at her. "What?" "Nothing," Victoria said quickly, but Victoria's mind was racing. Could Marcus really be the person who donated $500,000? Where would a janitor get that kind of money? On the drive home, Victoria was very quiet. She kept thinking about the phone call and everything she had noticed at the event. "You're very quiet tonight," Marcus said. "Just tired," Victoria replied. But Victoria wasn't tired. She was confused and a little scared. For the first time since she met Marcus, she wondered if she really knew who he was. That night, Victoria lay in bed thinking. She had been so sure that Marcus was just a poor janitor, but nothing she had seen tonight made sense for a poor man. Victoria decided she needed to find out the truth about her husband. Tomorrow she would start investigating Marcus Chen. She had no idea that what she would discover would change everything. The next morning, Victoria woke up with one thing on her mind. She needed to find out who Marcus really was. Marcus had already left for work when Victoria got up. He always left early for his janitor job, but now Victoria wondered if he was really going to clean buildings. Victoria sat at her computer and typed Chen Industries into the search engine. What she found made her feel sick. Chen Industries was one of the biggest technology companies in the world. The company was worth over $12 billion. It owned office buildings, made computer software, and had business deals with companies around the globe. Victoria scrolled down and found a news article from last week. The headline read, "Chen Industries buys rival company for $3 billion. Victoria remembered Marcus's phone call. He had talked about a $3 billion acquisition. Victoria kept reading. The article mentioned that Chen Industries was run by a young CEO who was very private. The CEO's name was listed as M. Chen, but there were no photos of him. "M. Chen," Victoria whispered. "Marcus Chen." Victoria's hands were shaking as she searched for more information. She found dozens of articles about Chen Industries and its mysterious CEO. "Young billionaire keeps low. Profile," read one headline. "Mystery. CEO donates millions to charity," read another. "Chen Industries CEO refuses all media interviews," read a third. Victoria felt like she was going to throw up. Could Marcus really be a billionaire? It seemed impossible. Just then, Victoria's phone rang. It was her father. "Victoria, I have exciting news," her father said. "We just got approached by a huge company for a business deal." "What company?" Victoria asked, although she was afraid she already knew. "Chen Industries," her father said excitedly. "They want to build a new office complex, and they want us to handle the real estate. This could be worth hundreds of millions of dollars." Victoria's heart stopped. "Chen Industries? Yes. The CEO wants to meet with me next week. I've never met him before, but I hear he's a brilliant young man." Victoria couldn't speak. "Victoria, are you there?" "Dad," Victoria said slowly. "What do you know about Chen Industries?" "They're one of the biggest tech companies in the world," her father said. The CEO is supposed to be worth about $15 billion. Can you believe that? 15 billion. Victoria hung up the phone and ran to the bathroom. She threw up. When she was finished being sick, Victoria looked at herself in the mirror. Her face was white and her hands were still shaking. Victoria spent the entire day researching Chen Industries and its CEO. The more she read, the more scared she became. The company had been started 10 years ago by a young man who had graduated from college with a computer science degree. The company had grown incredibly fast. The CEO was known for being very private and very kind to his employees. He had a policy of working in different parts of his company to understand what every job was like. CEO spends week working as janitor to understand employee experience, read one article from 2 years. Victoria's heart sank. Marcus had been working as a janitor in his own building. Victoria also found articles about the CEO's charity work. He had donated millions of dollars to help poor families, build schools, and support hospitals. Billionaire CEO gives away fortune, read one headline. Young executive believes in helping others. Victoria thought about Marcus's grandmother and how kind and humble she was. She thought about how Marcus had never complained when Victoria was cruel to him. She thought about how he had paid for their expensive wedding without any problems. As the day went on, Victoria found more and more proof that Marcus was not just any employee at Chen Industries. He was the owner. Late in the afternoon, Victoria found a business magazine from last year. On the cover was a photo of several young billionaires. In the corner of the photo was a man who looked exactly like Marcus, but he was wearing an expensive suit and standing next to other famous rich people. The caption read, Marcus David Chen, CEO of Chen Industries, net worth $15.2 billion. Victoria stared at the photo for a long time. It was definitely Marcus, her husband, the man she had called a poor janitor, the man she had treated like garbage. Victoria's phone rang again. This time it was her friend Sarah. Victoria, you'll never believe what I just heard, Sarah said excitedly. What? Victoria asked weakly. You know that Marcus guy you married? The janitor? What about him? Well, my cousin works at a tech company, and she says there's a rumor that the CEO of Chen Industries just got married. Victoria felt like the room was spinning. The funny thing is, Sarah continued, the CEO's name is Marcus Chen, same name as your husband. Isn't that weird? Victoria hung up the phone. Victoria sat in her living room for hours thinking about everything that had happened. She thought about how she had treated Marcus at their first meeting. She thought about the terrible dinner with his parents. She thought about how she had made him work 4 jobs to pay for her expensive lifestyle. She thought about how she had kicked his grandmother out of their wedding. Marcus wasn't poor. Marcus was one of the richest men in the world, and Victoria had treated him like he was worthless. Victoria also realized something else that made her feel even worse. Marcus had never lied to her. When she asked what he did for work, he said he worked at a technology company. That was true. When she asked if he was a janitor, he said yes. That was also true. He really did work as a janitor, but it was in his own building. Marcus had been honest about everything. Victoria had just been too proud and mean to ask the right questions. Victoria heard a key in the door. Marcus was coming home from work. Victoria quickly turned off her computer and tried to look normal. Hi, Victoria, Marcus said when he walked in. He looked tired like always. Hi, Victoria said. Her voice sounded strange. Marcus went to the kitchen to get some water. How was your day? Victoria didn't know what to say. How could she tell him that she had just discovered he was worth $15 billion? It was fine, she lied. Marcus sat down next to her on the couch. Are you feeling okay? You look pale. Victoria looked at Marcus. He was still wearing his simple work clothes. He still looked like the same quiet, humble man she had married. But now Victoria knew the truth. Marcus wasn't poor. Marcus wasn't beneath her. Marcus was one of the most successful people in the world, and Victoria had spent months treating him like dirt. Marcus, Victoria said slowly. Can I ask you something? Of course, Marcus said. Victoria took a deep breath. What exactly do you do at the technology company where you work? Marcus looked at her for a moment. Why do you ask? I'm just curious, Victoria said. I realized I don't know very much about your job. Marcus was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. Victoria, if I told you the truth about my job, would it change how you feel about me? Victoria's heart was beating fast. What do you mean? Would you treat me differently if you found out I had more money than you thought? Victoria didn't know how to answer. The truth was, yes, she probably would treat him differently. She had married him thinking he was poor, and she had treated him badly because of that. I don't know, Victoria said honestly. Marcus nodded sadly. That's what I was afraid of. Victoria realized that Marcus had known all along that she was only interested in money and status. He had been testing her to see if she could love him for who he really was, not for what he had. And Victoria had failed the test completely. Marcus, Victoria said, I think we need to talk. Victoria couldn't sleep that night. She lay in bed next to Marcus, thinking about everything she had discovered. Every few minutes she would look at him and try to understand how she had been so wrong about everything. The next morning, Marcus left for work as usual. But this time Victoria decided to follow him. Victoria got dressed quickly and drove her car behind Marcus's old Honda. She was curious to see where he really went during the day. Marcus drove to the Chen Industries building downtown. It was a huge glass tower that Victoria had seen many times but never really noticed. Victoria parked across the street and watched. She expected to see Marcus go in through a back door or employee entrance. Instead, Marcus walked through the main entrance. The security guards all smiled and greeted him respectfully. Good morning, Mr. Chen, Victoria could hear one guard say. Victoria sat in her car for 2 hours watching the building. Finally, she decided to go home and wait for Marcus to return. When Marcus came home that evening, Victoria was ready to confront him. Marcus, we need to talk, Victoria said as soon as he walked through the door. Marcus set down his bag and looked at her. Okay. I know who you really are, Victoria said. Marcus didn't look surprised. What do you mean? I know about Chen Industries. I know you're not just a janitor. I know you're the CEO. Marcus sat down slowly. How did you find out? I researched the company online, Victoria said. I saw your picture in a magazine. I know you're worth $15 billion, Marcus nodded. And how do you feel about that? Victoria didn't know how to answer. Part of her was excited that she was married to a billionaire, but part of her felt sick about how she had treated him. Why didn't you tell me? Victoria asked. I wanted to see if you could love me for who I am, not for what I have, Marcus said quietly. But I would have treated you better if I had known. Marcus looked sad. That's exactly the problem, Victoria. Victoria felt confused. What do you mean? You should have treated me well because I'm a human being, Marcus said. Not because I have money. Victoria started to understand what Marcus was saying, but she didn't want to admit it. Everyone treats rich people better, Victoria said. That's just how the world works. It's not how my world works, Marcus replied. I wanted a wife who would love me even if I had nothing. Victoria felt angry. So this was all a test? You lied to me? I never lied to you, Marcus said calmly. You asked what I did for work, and I told you I worked at a technology company. You asked if I was a janitor, and I said yes. Both of those things are true. Victoria realized he was right. Marcus had never actually lied about anything. But you let me think you were poor, Victoria said. You decided I was poor, Marcus corrected. You saw my simple clothes and decided I wasn't good enough for you. You never asked me any real questions about my life. Victoria felt embarrassed, because this was also true. I work as a janitor sometimes, because I believe leaders should understand every job in their company, Marcus continued. I wanted to see how employees are treated when they don't know who I am. And what did you learn? Victoria asked. I learned that some people like you judge others based on their job and their clothes, Marcus said. I learned that kindness and respect should not depend on how much money someone has. Victoria sat down across from Marcus. So what happens now? Marcus was quiet for a long time. Finally, he got up and walked to his desk. He came back with some papers. These are divorce papers, Marcus said, putting them on the table. Victoria's eyes went wide. Divorce papers? I can't be married to someone who doesn't respect me, Marcus said. You made me work 4 jobs to pay for your expensive lifestyle. You kicked my grandmother out of our wedding. You told people I was your charity project. Victoria started to cry. But Marcus, I know better now. I can change. You only want to change because you found out I have money, Marcus said. What if I really was just a janitor? Would you want to change then? Victoria couldn't answer because she knew the truth. If Marcus was really poor, she would probably still treat him badly. I wanted to find someone who would love me for who I am inside, Marcus said. Someone who would be kind to me even if I had nothing. Someone who would treat my family with respect. I can be that person, Victoria said desperately. Marcus shook his head. No, Victoria. You can't. This is who you really are. You care more about money and status than about people's feelings. Victoria looked at the divorce papers. What about the business deal with my father? I'll still work with your father's company, Marcus said. He's a good businessman. But our marriage is over. How much money will I get? Victoria asked. Marcus looked disappointed by her question. You'll get $50,000. That's enough to start a new life. 50,000? Victoria was shocked. But you're worth billions. And you spent months treating me like garbage, Marcus said. You get what's fair. Victoria couldn't believe this was happening. Marcus, please. I'm sorry. I can learn to be better. I'm sure you can learn, Marcus said. But you should learn because it's right, not because your husband is rich. Marcus stood up. I'm going to stay at a hotel tonight. You can have a few days to move out of the apartment. Where will I go? Victoria asked. You can go back to your parents' house, Marcus suggested. Or you can get your own place. You're a smart woman, Victoria. You'll figure it out. Before Marcus left, he turned around one more time. Victoria, I hope someday you meet someone who makes you want to be a better person just because you love them, he said, not because of what they can give you. After Marcus left, Victoria sat alone in the expensive apartment. She looked around at all the beautiful things that Marcus had paid for. Victoria realized that she had lost the most valuable thing of all. She had lost a man who was truly good and kind. A man who would have loved her and taken care of her forever if she had just been nice to him. Victoria also realized something else. Marcus was right about her. She did care more about money than about people. She had judged him completely wrong, and she had been cruel to him for no reason. Over the next few days, Victoria's story became big news. Someone found out about the divorce and told the newspapers. Billionaire CEO divorces wife after she treats him like a poor man, read the headlines. Victoria's friends were shocked when they found out the truth. You were married to the CEO of Chen Industries? Sarah asked in disbelief. And you treated him badly? Victoria felt embarrassed everywhere she went. People whispered about her and pointed at her. Victoria's father was very angry with her. Do you realize what you've done? He shouted. You had the chance to be married to one of the richest men in the world and you ruined it by being mean. But the worst part was how Victoria felt about herself. She realized that Marcus had been everything she should have wanted in a husband. He was kind, smart, hardworking, and generous. He had loved her and wanted to take care of her, and Victoria had thrown it all away because she thought she was better than him. Victoria moved back in with her parents. She got a job at a regular office and started living a normal life. She couldn't afford expensive clothes or fancy restaurants anymore. Sometimes Victoria would see articles about Marcus in the newspaper. He continued to run his company and donate money to charity. He seemed happy. Victoria never got married again. She dated a few men over the years, but she never found anyone as good as Marcus. Victoria had learned an important lesson, but she had learned it too late. She had discovered that a person's worth has nothing to do with their job or their clothes. She had learned that kindness and respect are the most important things in any relationship. But most importantly, Victoria had learned that when you have something truly valuable, you should treat it with care, because once you lose it, you might never get it back. Marcus had given Victoria a chance to be loved by a wonderful man. But Victoria had been too proud and too shallow to see what she had. Now Victoria understood what she had lost. But understanding came too late to save her marriage to the man who could have given her everything she really needed.